Thank you very much. Now, balloonists from around the country are firing up their propane burners this morning as they prepare to take part in the only competitive balloon flight to be held in Britain this year. Our correspondent Nick Hyam is at the launch site in Pidley, which is in Cambridgeshire. Nick.
Yeah, good morning, Charlie. Lovely, beautiful morning. The sun just coming up, and in about half an hour, this field will be absolutely full of balloons taking part, as you say, in the only competitive ballooning event this year. They had to cancel the World Championships because of weather in Ludlow and flooding. There were two other Grand Prix weekends like this also had to be cancelled during weather. So this is the one chance that Britain's balloonists have to select a third member to compete at the World Championships in Austria next year. Well, I'm joined now by Rupert Stanley, who's the chief observer, sort of chief organiser, really, as well, of all of this, aren't you? But tell me, competitive ballooning, you can't steer them, they go incredibly slowly. What do you compete to do?
You can actually steer them. You can go up and down with the wind. Generally, the higher you go, the more right you get, and as you come down, you get left, and that is the skill of it. And it's the timing as well, to know when to come down, to get the left on the surface, to get as close to the target as possible. And the whole competition is about accuracy. It's going to a predetermined point and trying to get as close to that point as you can. And we drop a small streamer to signify how close we've got, and we have people that measure that.
Now, balloons, of course, can only fly in the early morning and the late afternoon. You're going to take off in about 30, 40, 50 minutes from now, and you'll have about, what, an hour and a half in the air? What are the competitors going to be doing during that time?
Okay, we're going to launch probably this balloon behind us. That will be what we call a hare, so that will go ahead of the pack. The pack will have to wait for about 10 minutes after that's gone off, and they will then chase that balloon. That balloon will come down after about 20 minutes, and it will throw out a target, and my officials will hopefully be there to receive the target, lay it out. The other balloons will come down and drop targets on that. As well as trying to follow that balloon, they'll also have to be planning ahead, because they'll have to determine their own goal, which would generally be a road junction, for the next target, and they have certain distances in which to do that, and then they're going to have to do that again. We're going to have 3 tasks this morning. OK,
Rupert, good luck with that. We'll be there following all of that. We'll be here at about 25 past 7.
OK, Nick, we're losing sound on you there, so we'll leave Nick, and that's before he's gone up in the balloon. So God knows what will happen later, but we'll see. Now, breakfast. Now, all this morning we're live at the Hot Air Balloon Championships in Pidley, in Cambridgeshire, and our correspondent Nick Hyam is there somewhere. Nick, what's happening? Where are you?
I'm about 600 feet above the Cambridgeshire countryside in Steve Bellaby's balloon, and we're just about the last of some 21 balloons to take off in this morning's competition. This is the only competitive hot air ballooning event taking place in Britain this year. All the others had to be cancelled because of bad weather. We're embarking on a hare and hounds exercise. One of the balloons has set off ahead of the rest, and we're all trying to chase it and get a marker, drop a marker as close as possible to where that first balloon lands. And then after that, all the competitors here are going to be going on to other contests in the sort of hour and a half that they can stay up aloft this morning. And at the end of it, one of the competitors is going to go forward to the World Championships in Austria in 2008 as the third member of the British team. Back to you, Charlie.
Can I ask one question? The rope that I can see, what's that? Where's that going?
That is going to the very top of the balloon, and when we finally land, a sharp tug on that will release all the air in the balloon and deflate it safely, rather than dragging us across the countryside, which frankly is not what we want.
All right, Nick, thank you very much for that. We'll be back with you later. Good luck. Lovely weather down there. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Absolutely lovely. Yes, we'll have a news summary for you. For 8 and all this morning, we're live at the Hot Air Balloon Championships in Pidley in Cambridgeshire.
Yes, Nick Hyam is in the air for breakfast this morning, and we can speak to him on the line now. Good morning to you, Nick.
Good morning, Charlie.
How's it going there?
Well, it's going pretty well. I was looking forward to saying this, and I can say it. We're over. If you live in the village of Over in Cambridgeshire and you pop out of your house and look up, you should see scattered around the sky around 21 hot air balloons. They are quite scattered now. They all took off from the same point in Pidley, but they're all now spread over probably half a mile of sky, and we're all drifting generally southeast We've been taking part in a hare and hounds race. One balloon set off ahead of the others, dropped a target that all the other balloons had to drop a marker on. I have to say we missed it totally. And now the competitors are going to targets that they've set themselves, places like road junctions, and they're trying to get a marker as close as possible to that junction. And they steer. I'd never realised it was possible to steer a hot air balloon, but you can steer it. We're up at about 700 feet now and travelling pretty much southeast. If we go down to ground level, though, we veer quite markedly off to the left because the wind direction is slightly different there. So there's a lot of skill involved in this.
Nick, you've picked the right day for it. The images look beautiful. Blue sky, balloons looks lovely. We'll speak to you a little later, I think. Thanks for that. Now, all this morning, we've been live at the Hot Air Balloon Championships in Cambridgeshire.
Nick Hyam has already been up in one of the balloons. He just landed in the last few minutes. Nick, how was it?
Oh, it was marvellous, absolutely marvellous. Drifting across the Cambridgeshire countryside, several hundred feet up. Beautiful, glorious morning. Hard to believe, really, that this balloon an hour or so ago was carrying us. It's all folded up. We've landed in a field just north of Long Stanton in Cambridgeshire, travelled about 7 miles. Behind us, the retrieve team, Les and Robin, chased us by road. Some of the locals have kindly brought out cups of tea. And I'm joined by Steve Bellaby. Now, Steve, you were our pilot. You're also the competition director. Beautiful, smooth landing. Congratulations. Good. Tell me, how do you compete in ballooning? Because they're pretty cumbersome beasts, aren't they?
Yeah, competing is using the winds to steer our balloon. We have targets or goals which are set by me in this particular case for this event. We have 16 competitors here who are literally trying to drop markers on goals and targets that I've set for them. So as you noticed with our flight this morning, we came down low and got some left steerage, climbed a little bit and got some right steerage. So the wind is literally just making us 30 to 40 degrees steerage, and so we can get to our target. So the skill of the pilot is reading those winds and get to the targets I've set for them, and it's been a pretty good morning, I feel. Yeah,
we missed one target, of course. They sent a hare balloon out first to drop a target, and you seem to go straight past it without noticing it.
Yeah, I found out we went over it. It was about a kilometre behind us. That's why we couldn't find it. But we weren't competing as such ourselves. We were just following the pack, seeing where they were going. We noticed they all came low to this particular target, but I couldn't actually spot where it was this morning. But their crews will be telling them where the target is. So we didn't have that privilege this morning of being told where that target was.
It is a spectacular sight to see all these balloons taking off and travelling through the sky. But what do you get out of it as a pilot?
I think it's comradeship, really. It's meetings like this, you know. We've got 16 other people, 16 other competitors and teams. They all have roughly 3 crew with them. So we're looking at 70 people here for this weekend. And so we've all become great friends. Although we're officials, you know, we like to push them and make them work hard, and they'll probably curse me a little bit on some things that I will set them. But at the end of the day, it's just a great thing to do. Gets you away from the pressures of everyday work and life. Whilst you're doing this, you're thinking of nothing else, and we're enjoying the countryside, cups of tea from our landowner, this sort of thing. It's just wonderful. It's just a wonderful thing to do.
Now, the aim of this competition is to find somebody to represent the UK, a third member of the team at the World Championships in Austria, 2008. Austria, mountains, ballooning, does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. Here, we're completely flat, okay? With Austria, we've got the mountains and we've got all sorts of different wind conditions. So a lot more taxing maybe than here in Cambridge and Pidley. However, mountains, different winds we call katabatic and anabatic winds, which go up and down the mountain sides, and pilots can use, again, all of these other different winds to get them to their target. So very, very challenging indeed.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much indeed. And it was a lovely ride this morning, absolutely beautiful. And they'll be flying again this evening because, of course, balloons fly best in the early morning and the late afternoon. And again tomorrow morning if you're in Cambridgeshire and you want to see a really rather spectacular sight. Back to you.
Nick, can I just ask you a question? I don't know much about ballooning, but how is it that they don't bump into each other more often? Because they can't steer very well, can they? And I saw the balloons actually quite close to one another in the air.
Well, the difficult point seems to be takeoff, actually. There were a couple of collisions because they all took off from this single field just outside Pidley, and the basket of one balloon, as it went up, I noticed sort of scraped along the envelope of one of the other balloons, and there were sharp intakes of breath from Steve and the other people standing around. But once they get up, the sky seems to be very big. Balloons are big, but the sky's even bigger.
All right, Nick, thank you for that. Lovely down there, isn't it?